Hi everyone, this is the new video series of inventory or stock management. We already have completed the sales and purchase module. So if you haven't checked that out, you can feel free to watch them as well. Today I'm gonna discuss about the item master data, and we're gonna explore every content into the item master data because to better manage the need of daily business, the items are the setup as the master data records, and default data for the purchasing, sales, and inventory transaction are contained in the item master data in the different tabs. So we're gonna discuss everything in detail right after this. So item master data is basically SAP enables you to manage all the items that you purchase, manufacture, sell or keep in the stock in any way. The way we define what these items are or how they are handled is through the item master data itself. And our item master data record is created for each product and identified with the unique code, which called the item code. And this code should be unique, and this is the universal code. And the item master data is basically heart of almost every transaction in SAP Business One, because that's how SAP Business One deal with daily to daily business. And this is basically essential, and it control the item in like sales, purchasing, MRP, production, service module, and inventory. So all and inventory master data, item master data is basically record and store all the essential information related to a particular item, like when it will be the purchasing date, what is the last price of that particular item, how many, what is the sales unit and all, how many quantity we still have in the stock, how much we have committed, and all the other information, including the planning, production, and much more in the item master data. So the first thing that you can see is one of the important thing that we can discuss about the item master is like active, inactive, and advanced. So let's say there is some item that your company is no longer manufacturing or selling them, or you the product is just discontinued. But the thing is, like, you cannot simply delete that item because it's all, but because it is still into some of your transactions, like inventory transaction of AP invoice, AR invoice, journal entry, and so on. So it cannot be deleted, right? But there is one way to not use that item is by inactive, setting an inactive and form and when, and you can put the remark of that. So instead you can mark the item as inactive, so it can no longer be added into the sales order, right? So for example, let's say if you have this item, let's say this printer, and I'm gonna say this would be inactive from today, from till 17, right? And I just did that. And then if we're gonna go into the sales order, and let's say I'm gonna add any customer and go into the item, then you cannot add them if you wish, because you're gonna say this time is the delivery date, but you're gonna see that the item is inactive. So when the item is inactive, then you cannot use them in any of the sales order, right? Or in any marketing document, you cannot use them. And so that's how you can obsolete that item, right? And they cannot be longer used in any of the document, right? There is you can choose to exclude these items as inactive item from the reports as well, like the system reports. And the option is in the inside the system initialization, general setting, and into the inventory tab, you can see that the display an active item in the reports and marketing documents. So once you uncheck this one, then they're no longer going to be visible into the reports, right? And once you make your backup of your data, so and the items are no longer involved in the transaction, then yeah, in the future you can also delete them. So basically the whole structure of item master data right now is divided into the 9 tabs, and this section is called the general area, which contain a unique identification of a particular item with the common name and some of the foreign names. So for example, if in this country this is called printer and in the other country it's called something else, then you can give some foreign name too, right? And this is called the general area of the whole items. There the basic type is like the item groups. The item type, is it the items, or the labor just as a service, or some travel expense that you can include in that, right? And then you can define the new item type, sorry, the new item group, using all the accounts that they're gonna be, and like almost all the basic information, if it's gonna be in the planning method or not, if it's gonna be the buy yourself with the procurement process, buy your make, sorry, and all the basic information for the item group as well. Then you can have a group, you can have the different price list. So SAP Business One support up to 12 price list. The 10 you can modify by yourself, and the these two you cannot change because these are the system defined and they are calculated itself by the SAP Business One internal process, right? So last purchase and last purchase price. So last purchase price is always change here, right? And the evaluated too. But if you see in the purchase one, you can edit on the price list one and two, and these information you can edit for sure. Then the another thing in the item master data is the item category. The item category is having basically three types: the item inventory type, or the sales item, or the purchase item. An item can be all three together as well. It can be belong into the multiple category like two or one or anything, and designated that item as an inventory item means that the item can be used in the inventory transaction and you have a particular warehouse to store them as well. Similarly, marking as a purchasing or sales, that is basically indicate that you can be either sell them or you can buy them as well if using the marketing documents. So if you mark making only the inventory, then you cannot either buy or sell them for sure, right? So for example, let's create one item as an inventory item, and then this item is not either the sales item or the purchase item. Then you cannot make any transactions, like you cannot sell them or buy them. So if you open the sales order and if you select a customer here and you want to try to add this item, you're not going to find that item in the list because this is not the purchase or sales item, right? So that's how it works in there. Then services for sales, like for example, if you're selling some services or the consulting, then you can make that item as a sales item, right? Or the purchase item also, like the expenditure of something that you're buying for yourself or for your company, and you can use them too. So that's how the whole category work. Then you can check in the purchase and sales tab is basically somehow similar. So like there is not much difference, right? So for example, the purchasing data is contain purchasing and sales board data contain the information that is used into the item on marketing document. The sales tab basically contain the information of the sales unit of measurement, right? And then the sales item dimension, like which dimension it be, the whole length, height, width factor and all, right? And then packaging and the tax detail, which tax should be applied for this item. And additionally, the purchase item have some specific information regarding the vendor, like which vendor you really want to buy from, and like these kind of information, right? And when you create a marketing document using that, then the relevant information for the item, it would be gonna by default gonna get copied from the item master data to sales order, right? For example, so let's say if you're gonna see like this is the printer one and this is our tax which is 0, right? And now if you're gonna go into the sales document and select one of the customer, and now if you select this, which printer it was, P00, this one, then you're gonna see that the tax, where is the tax? The tax is the default one is A0, which is get copied from the sales tab of SAP item master data, right? So that's how it managed, right? And both tab offer you to link the report, right? As well, and you can simply see this whole sales analysis of that particular item, right? And also for the purchase analysis as well. So that's pretty cool in the SAP Business One. For the item master data, then in the inventory tab, we have discussed a lot about this as well. So in the inventory tab is basically shows up-to-date information about the stocks level and how much is committed and how much you ordered, how much it is still available to commit, right? And the whole matrix, it shows like how many warehouses it belong for this particular item. You can add as many as you want with the warehouse management. We'll discuss that topic as well. And you can set some of the default warehouse like this one, and when you update it, then every time you're gonna do any transaction, then this warehouse will be the default warehouse for this item every time. So for example, I'm not sure if we have the warehouse column in here, so we have to add it first, let's say. Then it could be warehouse, right? There should be warehouse. Yeah, this one. So you just enable that, right? And now if you're gonna select that item, where's that item? So once you select this item, then you will see the default warehouse is picked by 01 from here, from the item master data. So that's how the default warehouse managed in this one. Then this one is like set the GL account by. So in it basically managed by the 3 times the item group label and warehouse. Then the UOM you can define the weight of that. Then this one is basically, the thing is, either you want to manage inventory by warehouse, so everything gonna be managed by this one, or you can manage everything by your own. So like how much the minimum required quantity, or the maximum should be, or the minimum should be in a particular warehouse. So that's how it's managed in here as well, so that either you can manage it manually or you can just manage by the warehouse. So once you unselect that, then you're gonna see these 3 columns by each warehouse, and this one would be the universal for all the warehouse. So that's how they manage in there for the inventory. Now let's jump to the planning method, and the planning data is basically if this item should be involved into the MRP or not, and then which procurement it should be, and the order interval, like when it should be ordered, and you can define the cycle, it should be monthly or like weekly or something. Then you can how many quantity they should be ordered, multiples, and how many minimum quantity. So for example, if you're selling uh, printer, and the printer should only be you can only sell like in the bulk, so the minimum quantity should be like 12 quantity at a time. So that would be the minimum ordered quantity for your planning. Then the lead time, like how much lead time you need to produce them in your MRP. And the tolerance, like how much time you can manage in between if something bad happened and you cannot get the item on the time. So that time could be in the tolerance one as well. Then in the production, you see there is like 2 methods, and the production tab contain all the information used in the managing during the item during the production. And you can control like how the item is issued into the production order, right? And if the item is composed of the bill of material, then there is a link of bill of material as well as a summary of that displaying the item component right here, right? And we will discuss everything in detail for sure in the future as well in the upcoming videos. And then there is like in the property tab, SAP Business One contains more all 64 properties, and these properties you can use anything. These properties are also involved in into multiple reports, and you can simply find that properties into the setup, inventory, and item properties, and you can change the name of these properties too. So for example, right now you want to change this article into blah blah blah, right? You update that, you refresh this one, and you're gonna see that the property name of this item is changed. So you can easily use these properties as well, and these are really helpful. So for example, on this tab you can use the 64 different properties which are involved into the reporting, marketing purpose, or even determining the price, let's say. And for example, let's say you have some printer and might be classified according to the type of, like, the colored one or the big one or the new one or the new or refabricated or something. And then the other properties such as the which kind of paper it support, is it for the photograph, and what is the processor inside, which kind of ink it supported, and everything in detail. So you can create the properties by yourself and use them by according to the item, right? Then if you have some remark or something, you can definitely do that in the attachment file. It's pretty easy. You can attach some files if you want. In the general area, you can see that from where you buy it, who is manufacturer of this item, is there any additional identifier of this item, then you can do that. Is there any shipping type, then you can do that too. And then there is three type of managing. So you cannot modify for sure, but I can show you. So there is three type of managing of an item: in the batches, in the serial number, and in the none. So for the none, you don't have to manage anything. And for example, if you're selling something which should be tracked like in the discrete unit, then you generate everything as a serial order, right? So for example, if you're selling an iPhone, then every phone should have its own unique ID, right? And that serial number should be managed by the serial number into all the marketing document. And same for the batches. So if you're selling a tablet, and that tablet, like one box of the capsule contain like 100 capsule, right, in the one bottle, then that bottle should be managed by the batch, let's say. And that's how you can manage that in the batch as well. We're gonna see everything in detail in our upcoming videos, so don't worry about that for now. And um, yeah, so like that's basically the basic understanding of the item master data. And if you have any question, feel free to drop a comment or something, and I will happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.